What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Chase, aka CR Media, as y'all may know me. We are live here for another edition of a Line in the Sand, or the Line in the Sand podcast, if you will. I am here with my co-hosts, the one, the only Cool McCain, with Fly Eagles Fly, with the NFC Beast podcast. Cool, you let them.
Eagles
Why am I
Elite.
telling everybody where you're from? Cool, you tell everybody where you're from.
And we got Top of the Key on Friday nights, Play Call Sports Talk on Friday nights, Eagles Elite on Wednesday. Of course, right here drawing that line in the sand on a Tuesday. And you never know what's coming next.
Never know. And then we're also joined by our friend Brett. Brett, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How y'all doing today?
Good. Got a crazy show for you. It's the final show before WrestleMania. Very interesting. Guys, on the road to WrestleMania, I always like to do a little, looking back, if you will. So let's talk about Mania, guys. I'm gonna throw one out here that's not on the docket. What is the first WrestleMania you remember watching live?
Oh, easy. WrestleMania 22. I remember my favorite moment and almost the moment that really fully got me hooked into wrestling. Edge spearing Mick Foley through a flaming table, or Shawn Michaels dropping an elbow onto Vince through a table with a trash can on his head.
Yes. That was a fantastic street fight between them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a low key, like, underrated feud. I think the biggest issue with that feud was the infamous tag team match between Vince and Shane versus Shawn and God, which happened the next month. Wild stuff. Had it not been for that match, guys, that feud would have been like, Vince had some really good feuds with some guys. One of my favorite WrestleMania matches, as crazy as it seems, is WrestleMania 19, Hogan versus Vince in a street fight. I thought that match was fantastic. Had a lot of nostalgia points to it. Had a lot of real life, like real bad blood between those two in it. I was a huge fan of that match. But the first WrestleMania I remember watching live is, I tell this story to everybody. I was 4 years old, and it was WrestleMania 10, and Shawn and Razor is what got me. So, cool.
So,
first WrestleMania you remember watching live?
WrestleMania 8. And the moment that sticks out to me was when Hulk Hogan was getting beat down by Papa Shango and Sid Justice. And then here comes the Ultimate Warrior to save him. That was crazy.
That's awesome.
Ultimate Warrior with the late run-in.
Yep.
But
guys,
for all runnings to come.
It is that season, man. We're going to talk about WrestleMania, guys, but I'm going to kind of stretch it out throughout the show. What I'd like to talk about right now is Naomi. Now, we've seen what has happened to Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. She signed the biggest contract in New Japan Pro Wrestling history. But since her and Naomi's departure, we haven't really heard much from Naomi at all. But we just now found out she has dropped the name Naomi, and she is more active on social media. She's going by Trinity, her shoot name, and she is uncontracted, and she let her contract with WWE run out. So unless she's working on signing a new one, do we see Trinity Fatu pop up somewhere else?
We definitely do.
Definitely.
I think so, because she seems like a very artistic person, and being not under contract with WWE, I think that gives her a lot more freedom as opposed to being under a WWE contract as to what she can do in her free time. So everybody knows who Naomi is at this point in the pro wrestling world, and even some outside of it. But I feel like she can still make really good money, like, working the indies or maybe working a couple New Japan matches or even a couple one-offs in AEW while still giving herself the luxury and free time of just kind of doing whatever side projects she also wants to work on. So I think she'll kind of remain a free agent for a while.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I think she'll enjoy the freedom that she has to kind of go and come and go as she wants. And you're right, Brett. She could show up. She could show up with Mercedes on New Japan, or the both of them could show up on AEW. There is a unclosed story with Bow Wow and Jade in AEW. And anybody who knows Bow Wow has a connection, maybe not related, says they're related, but whatever. Bow Wow has a certain connection to a rapper who happens to be related to Mercedes. So, that I've toyed around that idea on my shows. But I love the idea of Trinity having the freedom to go and work. And like I said, we could see a Trinity and Mercedes tag team in AEW against Jade and Abadi or something like that. So
I have a little bit of a different thought. Want to shout out Philly, who's been watching what's going on. Philly, big wrestling fan. But I have a little bit of a thought here. So, say Trinity does decide to sign somewhere sooner rather than later. Obviously, she won't do it right away, right? She'll have her no compete clause, and then she'll have a little fun, go around do some different things. But what if she signs with AEW in 2 or 3 months and becomes a fourth member of Soraya, Tony Storm, and Ruby Soho's group against all of the AEW originals, right? Maybe even brings Mercedes Moné with her through that forbidden door, because we do know that AEW and New Japan have a sort of working relationship, right? You can have New Japan belts on AEW, so they kind of have a little tip in that forbidden door where you can kind of bust through it either way if you want to. You can kind of open it pretty easily. Helps boost that group's popularity, gives them another member that's pretty much known in wrestling circles, has a name, and then also has the connection with Mercedes Moné that can end up bringing her in for big spots. So just a thought on another angle that Trinity may take.
absolutely. I I kind of wanted to. I know we had on the docket, who beats Jade Cargill. So kind of just segue into that, guys. We talked about Mercedes. That's my prediction. Brett, talk to us. Who do you think is going to be the one that ends Jade Cargill's streak?
So I know there were talks about she's kind of in a holding pattern because it was originally going to be Statlander that beats her.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's going to be somebody in AEW that's on the roster that's going to beat her, I think they probably just stick with Statlander. But I think that probably to make the biggest impact, then, yeah, I would say Mercedes is going to be a free agent there, or Trinity. So I'm going to stick with the original idea, though. I think they'll wait for Statlander to come back and beat her.
We could go with Lowera Loca herself as well, since she's now appeared there in AEW. That could be an interesting guy, because an interesting woman, and they have a similar finisher. So there's that part of the story as well. If she can hit her finisher on Jade, which is very similar to Jaded, then she could be the one to end that streak. And of course, they'll build to it. They won't have that match right away. Ty Valkyrie is who I'm speaking of, for those who may not know her nickname. But yeah, I think Ty Valkyrie has a great shot to do it, because at some point you need to end the streak, and then Statlander, whenever she can return, can just beat Ty Valkyrie for the belt.
Yeah, I like I said, Mercedes is my pick. That's who I think, especially if they run with the connection between Bow Wow and Snoop Dogg and her. Because like I said, it's an open door that they haven't closed on yet. So, but the only reason I wanted Statlander, Brett. The only reason I'm not okay with Statlander anymore is because out of all the talent that has come up and stacked up against Jade, Statlander has ran 2 programs with Jade and lost to her.
Yeah.
It's not believable for Statlander. To me, it's not believable anymore for Statlander to come in and go, you know what I mean? Like, so that's what I really wanted Statlander to be the one. And then like I said, when they ran 2 programs with her and she lost both, I was like, well, now you can't come back and let her beat her because it's weird, you know?
It's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. What are we on the docket for as well? I'm running out of order here, guys. I apologize.
That's no worries. We did have a comment where somebody asked, could we talk about Roman Reigns?
Let's talk about Roman. Let's talk about Roman. It's time. We're almost there. It's almost over.
Let's hope so.
Yep. Let's hope so.
I think they will be, but it would very much show at the same time be a WWE thing for the sake of the swerve to just have Roman win and then disappear until SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, my thing is like, they showed the numbers again of all the champions. I think Bruno, maybe Bruno or maybe Morales, but one of them was almost 3,000 days. It's like 2,700. So let's just stop with the 1,000-day one.
I was gonna say, I think that's
he's not even if he hits 1,000 guys, according to that list, he's not even in 4th place. Like, so I don't understand what the, because everybody's like, oh, what's more important, Roman's 1,000-day reign or Cody finishing the story? Well, Roman's 1,000-day reign would be cool if he was in 2nd. Heck, I'll even give you guys 3rd place. Give me 3rd place. But he's not. He's like in 4th or 5th. So it's like, all right, let's be done.
I was going to say, I think it's more important to finish the story. Roman already has one of the most arguably impressive title reigns we've ever seen.
Exactly, yeah.
Even though he's only in 4th, we got to remember guys like Bruno, they were wrestling like once a month in Madison Square Garden.
Exactly.
Roman's, I know he went to part-time, but at the same time, even at the beginning, he was wrestling more frequently on shows. So he's probably already wrestled more matches in this stretch than Bruno and them did in the full stretch of days.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, and that's exactly what I mean. It's so impressive, but it's like 1,000 is too much. 900 was too much. The age is different. There's 3 shows on a week. We consume content of it every single day. They have 2 premium live events a month almost. Like, it's too much for you to go, yeah, a 1,500 day title reign is cool. We get how powerful he is. We get how epic he is. We get how great he is. 1,000 days is too much. It's time. Cody's the guy. Seth should have been the guy. Brock maybe could have been a guy. There's been so many different people who could have been the guy, but it's over. It's done with.
Yeah, I'll say this. So it's a rhetorical question, number one. If it's not Cody, then who's going to beat him, right? And then the other thing is Roman's been greatest champ, as you guys already said previously. He's done a wonderful job carrying the company. He's been one of the most interesting parts of the show for a while. No doubts about that, no questions. When they're on Raw, Raw's better, right? When he decides to show up on Raw and grace Raw with his presence once every 3 months, it's a big time thing. But there's 2 problems that we have. Each show needs its own champion. Whether that you bring this bad boy back Have Cody bring back the winged eagle, and then you split the belts. Whatever you do, each show needs its own respective champion. The tag team championships, I'm fine if they go back and forth. Honestly, right? It's the tag team championships. You're not featuring them every week anyway. You can have them on one show a couple of weeks, other show a couple. It doesn't really matter. But you need a standard bearer for both shows, and that's your champion, your Universal Champion. Definitely need to rename that belt. That's a horrible name. And then the WWE Championship, and I think they do need to be different belts. But I have enjoyed what Roman Reigns was able to do. I have enjoyed how he's able to freshen things up constantly, adding Sami Zayn to the mix, getting very Uzi for a while. That was a great new wrinkle to throw in. We knew where that was going to end up at, but just the ride itself was very entertaining. Starting with Paul Heyman, adding the Usos, adding Solo. It was great how they stretched it out. They've milked it long enough. I think the break's needed. He loses the belt. He comes back at SummerSlam. He's ticked. Things have changed. The Usos have gone a different direction. Solo's gone a different direction. Then you kind of add him back to the mix and see how things happen at that point. That's the right move, in my opinion. But again, as you said, Chase, we are talking about WWE, and we know how they get down sometimes.
I was saying the only guy I can see like that they're building up that could even remotely potentially be believable to knock off Reigns at an event like SummerSlam is like they're building up Gunther at an upwards trajectory, but I don't think they'd pull the trigger on that. And I'm more interested at this point in a Roman Reigns coming back angry and wanting his title back, like a Roman Reigns revenge story. Because I'm not sure what other story you can run with him as champion that would interest me at this point, outside of this Cody one.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off of that, Brett, I kind of like that because, to watch Roman come back and go on a revenge tour would be interesting because we haven't seen Roman be without, the bloodline in a while. And so now if he gets beat and then he comes back on a revenge tour, what would that look like without the help of Paul, the Usos and whatnot? So very interesting.
Will we still acknowledge him?
Huh?
I said, will we still acknowledge him?
No, I don't acknowledge him. Let's talk about AEW and a little bit. Let's talk about some of the news outside of AEW, in AEW, if you will. Have you guys seen the social media interactions with CM Punk and now Dean Ambrose?
Yeah.
So I guess Jericho said something, or Dave Meltzer said something about something he heard about how Punk wouldn't do the job or got upset about not doing the job to Moxley when they played hot potato with the title in the summer before All Out. It was very weird. It was AEW really loves to do these things where they have a guy win a title in their hometown. So they were in Cleveland. Mox won the title, only to drop it back to CM Punk in Chicago at All Out. And then obviously what happened after that. So I guess there was some story that came out from Meltzer or something about the mixed miscommunications and the scuffles that happened between all that. And then Punk, as a way to retaliate, said, went on social media and said, "Hey, here's what happened. I was actually really hurt. They wanted me to do a job to Moxley. I was like, no, I'll just wait till the pay-per-view. They were like, no, it'll be a job. It'll, whatever." And then Punk rumoredly lawyered up because of his injury. And then, as we all know, dropped the belt to Moxley in a squash match and then won it back at All Out in Chicago. And like I said, had some choice words and left it from there. And then, as I just mentioned, I guess Moxley went on to his wife's podcast because what better way to make some money out of this than to go do a podcast. Yeah, especially on your wife's. And then I guess in this interview exposed AEW as a whole. and his feelings about stuff, and then also had some choice words about Punk, indirectly, if you will, which he made a comment that said, wrestlers should just shut the F up. I'm not involved in the drama. I don't think it's necessary to go on a podcast and say XYZ. Blah blah blah. I'm not about all that drama. And now that those comments are making the rounds. What are your guys' thoughts on all this? That's a lot to digest. I know.
Right. It's really unfortunate because I absolutely love CM Punk. I really loved watching him in AEW. I thought he brought something different to the show every week because a lot of the vibe I get off most of the guys in AEW, a lot of their matches are more like spot fests. And he always brought a different element of like in-ring psychology and storytelling that I absolutely appreciated. So I love CM Punk. I love CM Punk in AEW. And it's just kind of sad to see it all end this way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a miracle resolution, but at this point, it's just looking really unlikely. So for AEW, I just hope that they're able to get the drama under control, whatever is bothering all these top guys, because it's not the first time we've heard stories about drama in AEW. So, for the company's sake, so, the backstage is, stays healthy. So I just really hope that they're able to get all of that under control. And it's just unfortunate that this whole CM Punk great return just had to end like this.
Agreed.
Yeah, CM Punk's kind of proven to be a loose cannon, and Dean Ambrose has been a loose cannon, whether it's Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, or whoever else. He's just a wild dude, right? And he just says whatever he wants to say. He doesn't really care. And it's kind of unfortunate because, like Brett said, I kind of wanted to see CM Punk there. I think he would have been a big help as far as helping some of these guys turn some of these spot fests, which I think AEW is getting away from a little bit. They're not doing it as much as they were at one point, because at one point, every match there was 2 tope suicidas. It's like, bro, it's really not impressive if it's done every match by every wrestler. But they're starting to a little bit more go away from some of the spot fests. But I think he's a guy that could have been a big guy to help with that, help with ring psychology, and been a veteran, in that locker room that still wrestles. But, he's a little bit of a loose cannon himself as well. So I think it's interesting. John Moxley does have a lot to say, and he's one of the locker room leaders. So it's like, if your locker room leaders are coming out saying things, then, there's obviously issues, but I think you have that in any organization, right? But this world that we live in, we talk about this in other sports a lot, this world that we live in, too much gets aired out on social media, right? Some things just need to be handled in certain situations, but we live in a world where that's what happens. You kind of get more behind the scenes, more behind the curtain things than you would have back in the day. It's harder to keep kayfabe up, things like that. So this just falls kind of under that for me.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about some of that stuff. Punk put out a very interesting tweet when he started talking again, which is weird. It's right around the time that his injury he's supposed to heal from his injury. Like, we're right around that time period. And then all of a sudden he becomes active on social media. Dude hasn't been active on social media since the whole thing broke out. Hasn't said a word to anybody, We saw him he made an appearance on UFC during not UFC, but MMA on a commentary team. And they had made a comment about, made a joke about him being a poison in the locker room and a cancer in the locker room. And he was like, yeah, I'm bad news. So, I mean, like, other than that, that's all we've heard. And then all of a sudden, we've seen all this stuff come out, and he's active on social media, where we didn't hear him say a thing about Brawl Out when all the reports came out about Brawl Out. The independent study came out, and now the independent study said that the Elite weren't really at fault. So that's why they got to come back from their suspension. He never said anything then. but now all of a sudden he's very vocal. So I just found that weird. Part of me wants to think we are being worked a little bit here, because he had made a comment on social media. This is what I was getting to, is that there was a story back in the 70s or 80s where wrestlers got into a fight, and Jerry Lawler brought them into the locker room in Memphis, and they were able to put their differences aside for the sake of the business. He tweeted that, or not tweeted it, but he commented that on somebody's Instagram. Story sound real familiar, right? Started out as a shoot, ends up being a work. They got into an altercation. They realized, hey, nobody here wants to lose their job. So, so that's why I'm on the fence about it. The other part of me is like, if it is real, if this is all unfolding in front of our faces and it's all shoot, no works, really odd and obnoxious of Jon Moxley to talk about people going on social media and podcasts starting drama. When I'm pretty sure when that dude left WWE, the first thing he did was go get on Chris Jericho's podcast and air out all of his drama in WWE. Name dropped, told stories, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if anybody, like I said, this is why part of me thinks that this is a work, because Moxley seems like a smart guy. You're not really that dumb, are you, Moxley? Like, because hey, a chip is a chip, my friend. If it walks like a chicken, talks like a chicken, balks like a chicken, like it's a chicken, my guy. So I don't know.
I think I'll give it to like All Out a year from the incident. If CM Punk's not back, there's no mention of Punk or anything by then. I think it's pretty safe to say, or he's not in the build, then he's not going to be with AEW again, because where would be a better place than to have the CM Punk return match against like Mox or the Elite or whatever they'd want to do than back in Chicago at the same event this all started at?
Yeah, exactly.
So Chase, you bring up a great point, though. I do agree with you too, Brett. But you bring up a great point, Chase, in that Tony Khan is not above these works. He did that with MJF. Remember, they had the little video and everything when MJF came back.
Yeah.
So he's not above turning something that's real and shooting it and making it a work. So
exactly,
that is definitely a good possibility. I hope that that's what's happening here, kind of like you said. It is interesting that we're starting to get all these parties talking once, CM Punk's getting back healthy, and once Ambrose is now, I'm just going to call him Ambrose. I can't remember Ambrose and Moxley, so we're just going to go with Ambrose. We'll go with what about John Ambrose or Dean Moxley? That way I'll make sure I get it straight. But either way, all jokes aside, I think he's through with Hangman now, right? So he's kind of freed up. So it'd be perfect for him once he gets this thing concluded with the Dark Order, to roll into a little program and maybe have a match with CM Punk. So we'll see if that happens, but it is a good point. It is something that could actually happen.
Hey, I got something shared. Cool. So there it is. There's the tweet from CM Punk, or the on Instagram, the comment he posted on his story that he deleted. Great story about Gator and Coco fighting in the locker room, and then Lawler drags them in the office the next day, and they squash their beef. Fascinating. Man, isn't that like kind of foretelling? It sounds really, really familiar, guys.
I was going to say, you already have Jon Moxley in the Blackpool Combat Club. CM Punk's best friends with FTR. Like, the feud writes itself. If you don't want to rush CM Punk into a match with Mox, put him in a 6-man tag. CM Punk and FTR versus the Blackpool Combat Club, or
exactly
with the Elite. Like,
because guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen next Wednesday? Next Wednesday, FTR is going to fight the Gun Club for their careers. I think FTR wins. FTR is not going anywhere. And then who would FTR? Because you're not going to have two baby faces, or you're not going to have the Acclaimed in FTR. You're not going to have the Gun Club. The Gun Club may go, but eventually, guess who's going to have to face the Gun Club? Or I mean, the tag team champions,
BCC.
the Blackpool Combat Club. And man, wouldn't that be crazy to have Cesaro, and
Yuta.
Cesaro, Yuta, Moxley, and a 6-man tag. Man, wouldn't it be even crazier if we got the American Dragon back, Bryan Danielson, and Bryan Danielson is stuck between two worlds because Bryan's like, man, do I go with the Blackpool Combat Club, who I was kind of getting a little upset with before I left because of their antics, or do I go with my old running mate in ROH, CM Punk? There's just different dynamics they could add to it. And like I said, it's just weird to me that if CM Punk is so vocal now about what everybody's saying now, where was he 4 months ago when everybody called him a liar? Where was he? Where was he right after? Where was he after All Out, where everybody was like, he's a cancer, blah, 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 and all that other stuff? Hasn't said a word about none of that stuff, but now all of a sudden comes out and starts saying stuff. Man, that's weird.
Plus, not to mention, the only thing we really haven't seen CM Punk do in AEW is have a proper heel run. The Elite are, baby faces. And there we go. You can get the best of both worlds. You can build it, tap into that story, and we can get a proper CM Punk heel run finally.
We could. My problem is, I'd still root for him because my stance on that situation stays. That I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. You can't convince me that the Bucks and Kenny are the good guys in this situation.
You can't ever convince me that the Bucks and Kenny are the good guys.
He'd probably be more of a tweener because of crowd reaction. But
I think so. I think so too, because I think that we have seen that West Coast crowd. They always talk about, like, y'all in Philly. They always talk about that crowd in Philly or Chicago. Chicago and Philly, the two crowds that they harp on the most. But man, I think the West Coast crowd is weird because they just, I don't know what it is, man. Like Britt Baker, they were cheering Britt Baker. They were cheering the Young Bucks. Obviously because the Young Bucks are from there, but it's just odd. That's a weird crowd. Is that California? That West Coast crowd, California. So get to go be a part of that crowd tomorrow. So
I bet you're excited.
I am, man. I am super excited.
Yeah, I'll be in Philly next year.
Yeah,
I'm starting my countdown already.
I'm telling you, man.
Save up money to go to Philly next year for Mania.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be there.
Plus the other biggest part about this whole thing is FTR, like, for real love Punk. Like, so I wouldn't be shocked if that stuff had been a part of some negotiations. Key says, where has Adam Cole been? Training to get back from his injury. I don't think people understand how serious this last injury was for Adam Cole.
Yeah, he had a bad concussion.
Adam Cole almost didn't make it back. Like he was like 89 to 95% done and about to retire. And then we were fortunate enough to for him to be ready to come back. So don't expect to see him back full time, and don't expect this to last very long. So I think this will be one last push for Adam Cole, baby.
Yeah, I think he gets the AEW championship somewhere in this run because it's probably his last one, like you said.
Yep. Very interesting though to put him up against Daniel Garcia. Very interesting. Nothing wrong with Daniel Garcia. Love Daniel Garcia. They're going to be on tomorrow night. That's when. So, Key, to answer your question, Adam Cole will be returning to the ring tomorrow night against Daniel Garcia, and love me some Daniel Garcia. But man, just like Kyle O'Reilly, Gunther, like they wrestle really strong, really stiff, really rough. So for a guy who's got pins and needles in his neck, it's a weird thing to put him in a match with somebody like that. So
All I got to say, man, is it's Adam Cole, baby.
I'm just happy he's able to come back and finish out his career on his own terms.
yes,
Yeah,
agreed.
he's a great entertainer, right? Like he's a good wrestler. Don't get me wrong, but the entertainment part he nails, and that's what's really important.
Absolutely.
He could join the JS. He's a sports entertainer. Just kidding, y'all. Just kidding.
Guys, while we're on the subject of AEW, Kenny Omega versus Jeff Cobb tomorrow.
Yeah. There's nothing that made me happy more than hearing Battle Cry again and seeing Kenny Omega back in the single scene there. I really missed watching him just pull off, 5-star match after 5-star match. He definitely lives up to the moniker, the best bout machine, and I absolutely cannot wait for that tomorrow.
Yep. The last match the match he had last week against the guy from Mexico.
Vikingo.
Yeah, Vikingo.
Vikingo Jr. Yeah.
They tore the house down. I was there live. It was lots of fun. It was great. So I expect to see the same thing from him and Jeff Cobb.
I love that it's happening with no story, right? Like you don't need like a story for every match. It's just, hey, Jeff Cobb, Kenny Omega, let's watch a great match.
Yeah.
Screw the story. Let's just have two guys. One's a big meaty man, and Kenny Omega. I'll tell you what would be impressive. Put him in a one-way angel. That would be impressive.
Yes, absolutely. Let's go back to WrestleMania here, guys.
Replacement Sports has a quick comment that's interesting here, Chase.
Okada carried Omega to those classics. Oh, interesting.
It really does take 2 to 10.
I mean, it's nice. It's wrong, but it's really nice. So
I was gonna say it takes 2 to tango when you have a match like Okada and Omega.
I mean, Okada and Omega are burners, like they're classics. But Kenny still goes out, Kenny still goes out there and has fantastic matches too. Kenny's yes, Okada is amazing. Nobody's taking anything away from Okada. Kenny is still one of the best in the world. So it's weird. That's weird. It was weird when people do stuff like that. So, and like I said, it's nice. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, Replacement Sports. But, let's shift gears a little bit, guys. Do we want to do some WrestleMania predictions?
I'm always for WrestleMania predictions, man.
Right,
I'm going to be wrong 2/3 of the time, but let's go.
Yeah, let's do some WrestleMania predictions, and then let's talk about Raw, and then we'll close out.
Works for me.
All right. Match 1 of WrestleMania. Let's do the
match one.
Yeah, match 1, night 1. Gosh, who's going to start off night 1?
That was Cena in Theory.
All right, let's go with that one. And I'll skip it when I get to the rest of you. Who do you got?
Theory. It only makes sense for Theory to win the match, right? Just because if you bury Theory, he may never return from it in the fans' eyes and getting, further up the ladder. So, like Replacement Sports says, yeah, it's what needs to happen. It's not necessarily what should happen, but it's the logical conclusion. And again, 2/3 of my predictions are going to be wrong. So let's just be clear about that.
I'm okay with that.
I agree with that. I think it just has to be Theory because Cena's not going to be around long term. The only acceptable way I think you book a Cena win is if he comes out the next night, does his John Cena U.S. Open Challenge, and then you use him to introduce a new star, like maybe Braun Breaker loses at Stand and Deliver and then comes and beats Cena for the U.S. title on Monday. But I'm not sure how long Cena will be willing to stick around, if he's even sticking around in Los Angeles for after Mania or what he's doing. So I'm just going to put money on Austin Theory on this one.
So Key's not able to hop on, but she says Cena's going to be passing the torch, and Theory wins.
Yep. I do agree with that. I do think that this is kind of Cena's way. If you look at the past matches that Cena has had, he has absolutely dog walked his opponents on the microphone, but then has put them over in the ring. So this was another one where you saw Cena just absolutely embarrass Theory on the microphone all week. WWE has played that clip of him having no balls all week. And so I don't know. I don't, there's not a scenario in my head where I see Cena winning this unless, like Brett said, and even then, Brett, you look at him, man, I don't think he looks like he's in ring shape. Like, he's in shape. It's John Cena. John Cena is always going to be in shape. Like,
Yeah.
don't be ridiculous, but he doesn't look like he's in Cena, like in ring shape. So I just don't know if he'd win the U.S. title. And then, but I also like your thought of him winning the U.S. title, even though you jumped ahead. That's all right. I'll forgive you this one time, Brett. You do it again and off with your head. But no, I could see Cena winning and then coming out to the next night on Raw, doing the open challenge, and then we get a surprising return. So, or a debut, I mean. So, the next match on the docket, Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio.
I feel like this is going to be Dominic. Like, I feel like Rey, what he would want more than anything is to put over his own son on the grandest stage of them all. So I feel like this is one of those matches that even if they told Rey they want him to win, he'd probably fight it. Because I think more than anything, he just would want to put over Dom. So I got Dom on this one.
Yep.
I'm going to go Dom as well. But I got to be honest.
Oh.
I gotta be on. that's what got me. Well, since he dipped out, I'm gonna go ahead and give my prediction. I'm gonna paint a picture for you, Brett.
Right.
I told Cool last week on this show, because Cool or somebody, or maybe it wasn't on the show, maybe it was in our group chat, but somebody had mentioned, do you think, or like, do you see or think that what, this ain't Lakers talk? What is going on? We
that was weird.
That was weird. Get the Lakers talk off here.
Oh, what in the world happened there?
I don't know. You derailed the whole show, my guy.
I really did, man. My bad, guys. It was definitely not the goal, but that's definitely what happened.
Yeah. But so apologize. We were talking about Rey and Dom. So somebody in the chat or on this show last week, I can't remember which, mentioned something about Dom committing a promo or an attack on Rey during the Hall of Fame, and we were like, no, that they don't do that at the Hall of Fame. Well, then Key shared that article that said they're thinking about running an angle at the Hall of Fame. And so I think that's where you could see it happen. I think that Dom comes out and then interrupts Rey's speech. Rey gets through most of it because Rey deserves that. But, to your point, Brett, Rey has said on record multiple times, I want to put Dom over and I want Dom to retire me. So what I could see is I could see Dom heading to the stage at the Hall of Fame and calling his dad out and telling his dad how ridiculous it is that he's an active wrestler going into the Hall of Fame and how he just always wants the spotlight for himself. And then Rey puts it up, or maybe Dom asks him to, and then Rey accepts, but Dom pretty much says, put your career on the line tomorrow night. So you can be a retired Hall of Fame retiree. And that's how we get it. And then night one, we see Dom take on Ray and beat him, and Ray rides off into the sunset. So, the next match on the docket, maybe not. I had it up, and then
I messed everything up, huh?
oh my gosh, you made me click out of it. We have the men's WrestleMania Showcase Tag Team match, guys. So I assume this would be for like the number one contendership for the tag team titles. Maybe not. I don't know. But Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy versus the Viking Raiders.
This is my bathroom break match of the night. I mean, they're just like, they haven't announced it's for the number one contenders or anything. So as far as I know, we have a fatal four-way, which means absolutely nothing. But even if it's for the number one contendership, it's going to be a good match, but it's just not something I'm overly interested in. If I had to pick a winner on this one, I'll take Viking Raiders. Give us a new team in the tag division.
I like it.
I'm going to say that I agree with Brett. I probably am going to the bathroom after Ray and Dominic enter. After I go to the bathroom, I'm going to get in line if I was there, and I would be going ahead and getting my snacks for the rest of the show. Doing this 2 matches here because these are definitely the two they're least exciting for me. Picking a winner, I'm just going to go with the guys I like the most and pick the Street Profits because we all want the smoke.
So I look at all 4 of these teams, and 2 of them I think are on the verge of about to break up. Street Profits I think are about to break up soon. And Otis and Gable are looking like they're are definitely splitting up.
He's about to be Otis.
Yeah, because Otis is it looks like he's running with the Maxim male models. Braun Strowman and Ricochet. I hate random paired teams like that. I always hate it when they stick 2 guys together because it's very lazy, and it's just like their way of being like, hey, we got nothing for these guys, so here's a random team. So I'm going with the Viking Raiders as well. I look at some of these matches. I wouldn't say that this would be my bathroom break, but yeah, I don't think this would be my bathroom break, but we'll see. The
long break though, this is honestly for me. This is a 2-match break, so that's even better.
Yeah, well, maybe a 3, depending on how you feel. There's the wrestling. There's the women's WrestleMania showcase match now. That I would assume would be for the number one contendership. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalya and Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus a mystery tag team.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty easy. It's I think they're going to go with Ronda and Shayna. That's the biggest star in the match. That's where the money is. That's the draw. So I think they'll keep it simple with Rousey and Shayna. And I normally agree with you, Kyle. You don't take a bathroom break with Montez Ford in the ring. The issue is he's not always going to be in the ring. So don't really care what Angelo Dawkins and Braun Strowman are doing. So,
and you can catch those highlights of Montez Ford while you're in line getting your snacks because there's TVs all around.
Agreed. Agreed. I'm going with the mystery team here. I think depending on who the mystery team is, I think there's a possibility you could see Caden Carter and Chance Costanza, the 2 that were just tag team champions prior in NXT. I can see them getting called up. I don't know, but if not the surprise tag team, then yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Shayna and Ronda as well. Hopefully, it leads to a Ronda and Shayna split down the road. So, Replacement Sports is right. You have to the extra point if you can name the mystery team.
Santina Morella.
Santina.
Yeah.
Santina. And Beth Phoenix.
There we go.
Yeah. Although
I was going to say Beth Phoenix, honestly. So,
yeah, be a little weird because I know Santino is actually
an authority figure.
Yep, an authority figure in Impact.
Impact.
That's right. Yes. Real quick shout out to the chat. Replacement Sports, man. Appreciate you lighting up the comments.
Yes, sir. Love it.
Key in the building. Philly. My guy Jake, the Tribal Chief. I think I saw my guy Hunter Dillon in here earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely appreciate everybody joining us, hanging out with us. We are breaking down the WrestleMania 39 card. Next match, Intercontinental Championship, Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus versus Gunther.
This is probably outside of the Usos versus KO and Sami Zayn. This is probably going to be the second best match of the weekend, or even the best. I am completely looking forward to this match. I'm so excited for it. I think I know when I talked about this before, I said Drew McIntyre. In the time I had to think about it, I'm switching teams. I'm doing Sheamus. I think he becomes a Grand Slam champion at WrestleMania.
What you think, Cool?
I am going with Drew McIntyre. I think that when I say turn, I don't mean like a bad guy. But there's a situation where it's like Sheamus has an advantage on Gunther, or they're like all three together. He takes out Sheamus real quick and then gets a good move in on Gunther. What I'd like to see him win with is his old DDT from when he was the chosen one. I would love to see him do that, and then I'd love to see his old music play when he wins. That would be great.
So I would agree. I really like. I mean, like if we're fantasy booking that, I really like the idea of Drew turning on. I really like the idea of Drew turning on Sheamus.
I'm telling you,
not really turning on him. I think the turn would come like late after WrestleMania. I think it was just kind of like a every man for himself, and Sheamus gets really upset, and he's like, I've never had my WrestleMania moment, and you stole my my All Crown title.
Yeah, he's been a crybaby lately about it anyway, so this would work perfectly into the storyline they're building.
Yep. And then they feud on for the summer, and maybe they ended at SummerSlam or at Clash at the Castle. God, that would be great. Have Sheamus finally, or have Sheamus beat Drew for the Intercontinental title at Clash at the Castle again. I like it. Next match, gentlemen. This is another one I'm super excited for because I posted in the chat. There are rumors running rampant right now that Christian Cage has gotten the okay and the green light from AEW to appear at WrestleMania for a Brood entrance with Gangrel, Edge, and Christian. Because the Demon Finn Balor, we found out from Finn Balor, the Demon will be in the Hell in a Cell as well. So the best way for them to contradict the Demon would be Brood Edge. So inside Hell in a Cell, guys, who you got, Edge or Finn Balor?
I'm not going against the Demon. It's the Demon, and he's not fighting Roman Reigns.
I already had picked Finn for this one, but now I know the Demon's coming out. Yeah, now I'm doubling down with Finn. Plus, Edge is going to retire within the next year or two. I think he said by next year it's probably going to be it for him. So let Finn have his big WrestleMania moment and go over Edge because it would definitely do the most to help in the long run.
I think if Edge gets a Brood entrance, and we see Gangrel and Christian Cage, who's contracted by AEW, I'm going with Edge. If it's just the same Brood Edge from the past couple of years, I want Finn to win, but I agree with Replacement Sports Network's comment. Edge has 8 dog duty against the Judgment Day.
But him and Beth did win the tag team match against Rhea and Finn.
Yeah, but I mean that's like the only win they've gotten though.
Edge doesn't need wins at this point though. Really,
Honestly, he doesn't. But
yeah, he doesn't need wins. Edge can lose the next 7 matches, and then whoever he fights in match number 8 will still be a big deal.
Yeah,
he's kind of like Seth Rollins.
But the feud kind of becomes like it kind of runs a little lackluster in my opinion. If you run an 8-month feud with somebody and only one person's winning, that's But I like I said, I'd be okay with it either way. But man, if they let Christian come out come up from the floor with Gangrel and Edge, dude, I'm gonna lose my stuff.
And they gotta wear the shirts, the old school shirts, and the purple pants.
Yep.
And Gangrel's got to be in front.
I could see, I could see WWE trying to, especially a company like WWE. I could see them trying to swerve us, just sticking some dude with a blonde wig and a white shirt and be like, "Oh my God, it's Christian!"
Christian Cage.
Use one of those guys from NXT, one of those guys from Pretty Deadly.
Yes, I was about to say.
That's exactly.
Let's be real. It's WWE. We know the swerve would be Hornswoggle.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, they brought back Horny. It's over.
Speaking of coming up short, Brock Lesnar versus Omos, guys. Who you guys got?
So, I first have to say, after the bathroom break and getting drinks earlier, this is my second bathroom break match for sure. I mean, it's got to be Brock, right? Like, it's got to be Brock. Unless there's interference. One-on-one has got to be Brock because it's Brock.
Brett's going to steal my theory. Go ahead, Brett.
So, yeah, once again, I wrote a whole article about it. You can find that on sportsempirenetwork.com. Shameless plug right there. But one-on-one, it would definitely be Brock. However, they've been teasing reuniting the Hurt Business. If you're going to do it big. Do it at Mania. Do it during this match. And let Omos get the biggest win of his life. I'm going to stick with my gut and say that Brock Lesnar wins this one. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if they had a Hurt Business reunion and Omos ends up being the victor in this one.
So Replacement Sports says that Omos can't go very long. He doesn't have stamina.
Yeah. Brock doesn't have very much either.
Yeah,
but Brock has an excuse. He has diverticulitis. So the fact that they let Lesnar go for as long as he has sometimes is absolutely insane to me. So this match has one purpose and one purpose only. This is to give you a WrestleMania moment. This is to give you a Hogan slammed Andre, something crazy. Undertaker choke slamming Mark Henry, or 3 tombstones to Kane. It's supposed to give you that Mania moment. And that's what's going to happen. Yep, that's what's going to happen when Lesnar picks up Omos for an F5. That crowd is going to blow the roof off of it. And then what's going to happen is Omos is going to kick out of that F5, and then MVP is going to get up on the apron. And I wouldn't even be shocked if this ends in a DQ. But I see since Bobby Lashley is not going to have a match at WrestleMania, just in case you all don't know, spoiler alert, Bray is injured. I think that I think Bobby Lashley makes his appearance known in this match. and they formed the Hurt Business. So
I just want to say for everyone who's not clear, Bray Wyatt is performing what they do in the NBA, call it load management. He's loads managementing WrestleMania. Not the wisest decision, but that's the decision he's made.
yep.
I definitely agree with that, Chase. I think the only thing that he can't do is the only part I didn't agree with is I think that this cannot end in a DQ or anything like that.
I don't think it. I agree, but I just wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
I wouldn't be shocked. I could see somebody backstage going, no, not a DQ. It's WrestleMania. We can't do that. But then them going, but we're gonna give them the Hurt Business, and they've been begging for the Hurt Business to come back. So I think it's okay. And then when it happens, they're gonna go, man, that was a really dumb idea. Who thought of that? The next match, Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus versus Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai.
To me, this one's interesting because obviously I could see in a scenario in where the legends and Becky go over, we get a happy WrestleMania moment. But I think the more fun and interesting part and the idea, and this is where I would go with it, Damage Control wins, and then you have a Trish Stratus heel turn and take out Becky Lynch. Then you let the team that's going to be there every week full time, Damage Control, they get a major boost for beating Becky, Lita, and Trish. And now you have set up a main event match for SummerSlam. Maybe not like a main event match, but like one of those special attraction matches. So I'm going to go Damage Control and either Trish or Lita turn heel and attack Becky.
So I'm going to go Damage Control as well. I believe Trish is the one to turn because the setup, from what I'm hearing down the line, is that they want a match between Trish and the Man. So here's why I think I'm a little different. I'm thinking we're going to get a double turn. Bayley sucks as a bad guy. She sucks. Like really bad. So this would be an opportunity where you could possibly do a double turn and get Becky on the good side, which is where she definitely belongs. I'm not saying she's great there, but when you made her a bad guy, she's just become the most uninteresting person there. She's more uninteresting than almost talking. So that's my thoughts. And again, everything I say, take with a grain of salt. 2/3 of the time, I'm wrong.
I agree. I think Damage Control needs this win, and then Damage Control. I don't think we'll get a turn at WrestleMania. I think if one of them turns, I think I could see it happening when they lose the tag team championships. I'm not really big on the idea of it being Trish and Becky, because the match that I really wanted to see was Lita and Becky. And the match I wanted to see was Trish and Charlotte. And we got that match already. It's weird. It's weird to, have that. And if they're going to feud, I'd rather see Trish as the babyface and Becky as the heel. So I don't know. Maybe Becky gets upset with Lita after they lose the tag team titles and Becky attacks Lita and then injures her and Trish makes the save. And that's how we get Becky and Trish. I just a Hall of Fame heel turn for a Hall of Famer doing a heel turn just doesn't interest me.
I'll say if they did Lita, it would definitely have to take place at like SummerSlam or even further because she just seems to get winded like really quickly into matches. She just doesn't have the stamina for a one-on-one, at least right now. So I'm down for that idea. But if they're going to do that, that match better be like way into the future and give Lita a lot of time to get back into ring shape to be able to go for 10, 15 minutes.
Yes, agreed.
I think they just need to not do it at all. I'd rather see Becky not feud with either one of them, to be honest with you. That's just what dirt sheets and different places have been saying, but I'd rather not see either one of them feud with Becky.
I'll agree with you. I'm not interested. Like I said, I'm not interested in seeing Trish. The match that I wanted to see Trish have, she's already had. And I'm just not interested in seeing Lita. You know, I don't know. I'm not. It's this match is weird in itself, but so we all pick damage control, right? Clean sweep.
Yeah,
clean sweep.
I like it.
Hardly ever happens.
Raw Women's Championship: Bianca Belair versus Asuka.
Got to go with the EST.
This one's really tough for me because I feel like the answer is Bianca, but I really, really love Asuka. I think I'm going to stick with my homer pick, and I'll go Asuka on this one. And take that with a grain of salt because that is just because Asuka might be my favorite female wrestler on the roster.
So the video package on Raw is what made me more confident in my Bianca selection.
I'm going with Bianca. I think when we picked last week, I think I went with Bianca too. And the reason why I'm doubling down on that pick this week, somebody fantasy booked the story for me, and I love it. We're talking about unifying titles. Supposedly Triple H approved a belt design. We could get this new belt design as soon as the Monday after WrestleMania, for Cody. So I wouldn't be shocked if they combined the women's titles into one title. And the way to do that is after Rhea beats Charlotte and Rhea runs through the competition for the next couple of months. Guess what happens? Rhea goes and invades Raw and says, "Now I want your title." And we get Bianca versus Rhea, which would be an amazing match at SummerSlam.
Mm.
And
you know what?
And there I could see Rhea beating Bianca. But
You know what? I like that idea.
I don't think Asuka's the one.
You know, I like that idea better. I'm changing my answer just because you convinced me with that story, and that would be phenomenal.
I like it.
I hate the unified championships. I gotta be honest.
So here's what I think is going to happen. Cool. I think that they are going to unify them in some way, shape, or form, and then they're going to do a draft. And because they wanted to do a draft when Hunter very first took over, but the story with Roman and the belts, it just didn't fit. It didn't fit the mold. So I think they are going to do it, and I think when they do, I think the brand that is without a champion. So Rhea goes to SmackDown to beat Charlotte, and then I think when Rhea goes to Raw to beat Bianca, I think Rhea gets a unified title. Then they're going to introduce a new women's championship on the vice versa show, and then SmackDown will introduce their new championship because Cody would be on Raw.
Cody has to stay on Raw.
Yep. That's the only way I can see it happening. Of course, they'll find some way. Like you said, we're right. We're only right 2/3 of the time. So
well, y'all are
wrong 2/3 of the time. Yeah,
I'm only right about 1/3 of the
time. Clean sweep again. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos.
The brothers beat the Usos.
I'll say, to me, this is the keep it short, keep it simple, keep it easy. The only payoff that feels right for this match is KO and Sami winning the tag titles. And then that can set up some friction between the bloodline, between Roman and the Usos for the next night. So either they abandon him or they lose focus and maybe they super kick him, cost him the match. And then you can have some bloodline civil war down the road as a story on top of a title feud. Like, you can set up multiple possibilities. But I think that all stems from this match, which absolutely should be the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. I won't accept anything else for an answer because, quite frankly, with the build and the story, this is the only match that makes sense in the main event slot, and I think it has to be KO and Sammy.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I don't think there's a choice any other way. Charlotte versus Rhea.
So I hate what they do to Charlotte when she's champ. Because I feel like she's been champ like 30 times, but she's only held the championship like 2 years. I feel like she's the champ, but then she always loses or something happens. So I feel like it's going to happen again. I think, like we were talking about with Austin Theory, same scenario. Rhea really needs to win this match. If Rhea doesn't win this match, who is Rhea at that point?
I was gonna say the only the time I really hated Charlotte title reigns was when her and Sasha just started playing hot potato with the title. That annoyed me. I would definitely enjoy starting to see her in some non-title feuds because it feels like the only story she has like ever is for the title. That's like her biggest character, which it makes sense. She's the daughter of Charlotte Flair or Ric Flair, I mean, but we can still have different feuds for her besides, hey, I'm going to fight for a title. I think that the only right answer here too is Rhea. She's the hottest superstar on the roster right now, outside of like Sami Zayn and the Bloodline and KO. Outside of that story, the next best thing right now is Rhea Ripley. So I feel like the only right answer is Rhea goes over Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yep. This is like I said last week. This is Charlotte's way of paying back Rhea for WrestleMania 36. So I can dig it. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul.
Everyone's going to be saying, oh, oh. Definitely has to be Rollins. Logan Paul is there to draw ratings, give the possibility that he could win because he can hit you with that punch from that surgically repaired hand. But yeah, we're definitely going to go with the Psycho Seth.
Yeah, I agree with that. Give Seth Rollins the win. Logan Paul he'll get some highlights on SportsCenter. He'll help bring more eyes to the product. They'll throw on an absolute banger of a match. This will probably be the third best match of the weekend, and it could also challenge for first. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to go with Seth Rollins, but part of me would not be surprised if Logan Paul won this one either.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I watched. Everybody talks about AJ Styles' streak he went on of losing on pay-per-views or premium live events. I feel like Seth only won like twice last year, if even that.
Right.
On premium live events. So I feel like it's an injustice to Seth, who has been the workhorse of this company for the past 5-6 years since his injury. I feel like he's been the workhorse of this company, and I feel like he deserves it on this stage. But Seth is also a very good team player. He always has been. And so I could see Seth being okay with Logan going over here. But I don't know, man. It's a little weird. So
I think he took the dive for Cody last year, so he's got to win this year.
Yep. The next match, guys, John Cena. Or no, we already did that one. Main event time. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. Who you guys got?
Wrestling's going to have a new royal family.
Yeah, we touched on this earlier. I don't really see a need for this title reign to hit 1,000 days. I don't really see a need for it to go past April 2nd. I think it's just got to be Cody. Because if theoretically, let's say Roman wins, now what? What are you doing? Because Roman's still going to take time off after Mania, most likely. It's a report, obviously. I guess we won't know for sure until after Mania, but I'm 99% sure that's going to be accurate. So yeah, to me, the only right answer here is Cody.
It has to be Cody. It's time. It's done. It's ran its course. It has to be Cody. Because if not here, then where? If not now, then when?
And then Sammy extended the bloodline. If Sammy doesn't join, we don't get that whole little silly situation. This hasn't been done months ago.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. All right, guys. So that's WrestleMania predictions part 2. I know we did them last week, but I kind of just wanted to refresh. And, like Brett said, I mean, it's possible to change your mind in a week or even 5 minutes. So, but here's another one for you guys. The Raw after WrestleMania. There's always surprises, call-ups, returns. It's one of the best shows of the year. What are your bold predictions? As many as you may have. You guys may have 2, you guys may have 3, you may just have 1. What are your bold predictions for Monday Night Raw? Cool, we'll start with you.
Gunther is going to be the first challenger for Cody Rhodes. Is one of my predictions. Another prediction is somehow the Judgment Day all go to SmackDown after WrestleMania because Rhea wins the championship. And we get a call up from, I'm not going to say the call up because I think other people have already said it, and I'm not going to steal anyone's shine, but we're going to get call ups from NXT. I think one guy we're going to get is going to join the Hurt Business, and I'll say his name, Carmelo Hayes.
I was gonna say, so replacement kind of stole a couple of mine. I think we're gonna get a Randy Orton return. Braun Breaker gets a call up, and then I think if the first challenger for Cody, because I had a fantasy book this in my head, is going to be Finn in the Judgment Day. Because mentally in my head I prepared this where Finn goes over Edge, Cody wins the title, they have a feud with Judgment Day and Cody Rhodes. Now Cody Rhodes is hilariously outgunned 3-1. So who does he call? His old mentor, Randy Orton, and Matt Riddle to even the odds. And after Cody Finn have a match, Randy helps him fight off the Judgment Day. He RKO's Cody Rhodes. We get heel Randy, and we set up our SummerSlam main event of Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton.
And Matt Riddle's just standing around going, bruh.
Yeah, I haven't thought about what Matt Riddle's doing the entire time. Either he turns or maybe Randy, as part of being an absolute menace to society, attacks him too. But I feel like that's what should be the SummerSlam main event is Cody versus Randy if Randy's physically ready to go.
I do think the call up we get. I think we get a couple. I think we get Gigi Dolan. I think we do get Braun Breaker. I think Braun is. I think it's more than time for Braun too. I know Sean mentioned that he wanted to keep Braun in NXT as long as he could, but those days are no longer numbered. They're done. I think at Stand and Deliver, I think Braun puts over Carmelo, and I think that Braun will debut on Raw, but he'll still spend a little bit of time, just enough to do one more job to Carmelo, and then officially be done with it and be on Raw. The debuts, I had one that I did for months, guys, and I don't think I'm doing it anymore. I think I'm settled. I think I'm settled on it. I thought, win or lose, Cody would stand in the ring on Monday night, and a returning Zack Ryder, who denounces the Zack Ryder name and introduces the WWE Universe to Matt Cardona, debuts on Monday night. I don't think that happens anymore.
Woo, woo, woo.
I would love it. I know that he has hinted about going back to WWE, but man, the guy is still putting a lot of independent dates on the calendar. And if you know you're not going to be able to make those, and you know that you're going to debut, on Monday Night Raw. It's kind of a shitty thing to do. Wrestlers have done it before, but I mean, because at the end of the day, you know, they have to have ends meet. Anything could change. They could say, you know, they could say whatever. I saw it. Let's pump the brakes real quick. I don't think that Jay White is going to challenge Cody right away. I think that would bury Cody as a babyface, and I think Hunter's smarter than that. Vince, not so much, but I think Hunter is way smarter than that.
I'm just saying he could debut.
He could, but I think he debuts when AJ Styles returns. Yep, I think AJ Styles will return shortly after, and when AJ Styles is in the middle of the ring giving his welcome back speech and introduces his brothers, the Good Brothers, to come out and celebrate with him, I think that's when Jay strikes. So, but like I said, because if you bring Jay in, Jay's going to get a massive pop from the crowd.
No, but Switchblade,
yeah,
on the Raw the night after WrestleMania would be a mega pop.
It would.
I definitely agree. It should not be anywhere around Cody.
Yep.
But I'd love to see. That would be a big debut.
Yep. You've got to feed Cody somebody like Gunther, like Finn. Cody running a program with Finn while heel Dominic is in behind Finn's back talking smack. The crowd would just attach themselves to Cody's back and stand behind him.
There's another one. I don't think it would happen right away, but the story's already in place. There's one person he's going to call out at some point that he wants to put the title up against because he wants to beat his A. And that would be Seth Rollins.
Yep.
I think the story there for his down the road is for a Cody versus Seth versus Roman triple threat match is already there. I think that's going to be an absolute banger. Cody and Seth have unfinished business. Cody and Roman will have unfinished business. Seth and Roman have unfinished business. I think a great triple threat match is going to be in place after Roman returns down the road.
Yep. Yeah, I will agree with Replacement Sports. I think that if you do Cody and Gunther, you got to do it around a big one, like SummerSlam, like Mania. You can't just. That's my only reserve about it is I feel like if you do it right after Mania, like the day after Mania, you introduce Gunther as Cody's next challenger. I feel like you've wasted a huge opportunity for a marquee match.
Absolutely. Well,
2/3 wrong, 1/3 right.
Yep.
Absolutely. And part of that too is, are they going to really have Cody lose his first title defense?
No.
No.
Whoever he fights is really a sacrificial lamb.
Right. So now you got Cody, who's definitely beating Gunther, and there's really no reason for that. So definitely let Cody's title reign develop a ways down the road and then send Gunther after him.
But Cody versus Omos. That's the worst fantasy booking ever.
Vince McMahon sitting in his chair the entire time just yelling, "It's such good shit."
The only person that agrees with me is Vince McMahon.
You guys got anything else?
There is one person, all jokes aside, that I do want to see, and I think could show up on that Monday Night Raw.
Who?
Big E.
Yes, because it's about time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We get it.
Time.
And hopefully comes back as a part of the New Day.
I think the only way they debut like Jay White on the night after WrestleMania is if you come in and you have him like beat Austin Theory for the title right away. But I completely agree. If you're not going to do anything major with him to make a massive impact, just save him for when Styles comes back. Other than that, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We got Mania the night after Mania. This is going to be a phenomenal week for wrestling fans everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I am very excited, I must admit. Very, very excited. WrestleMania like is that time of year. Even if you don't really watch, wrestling every week, you kind of jump onto it and start watching because it's like the Super Bowl for professional wrestling. Right? AEW has their events, but none of them have been around long enough or had the same type of impact so far that a WrestleMania has. TNA has their Slammiversary, whatever. It's not the same, but like this is that event, you know. And then the NXT having their event the same weekend I love. So it's just great, man. The one disappointing thing about this whole entire thing is the Hall of Fame. This Hall of Fame class is just meh at best.
Yeah, you gotta think though that at some point they were gonna run out of people to reach out to and put in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really watch I never really watched the full ceremony. Like I'll go back and watch like the YouTube clip of maybe their speeches. I think the last full ceremony speech I watched was like Undertaker, but that's because Undertaker's my favorite wrestler of all time. But no, other than that, the Hall of Fame ceremony itself is just really too long and it's just kind of dull for me. So I agree. I'm not looking forward to the Hall of Fame at all. I'll probably just skip it and watch highlights later.
I watched some of the speeches. It just depends on who it is. I I hate that they kind of they knock them down a little bit now. They try to limit how long it is. Um, and the reason why that kind of irks me a little bit is because I've always loved hearing wrestlers tell stories. So it's
Yeah,
always like, man, what stories are we gonna hear from this guy? And so that's why, you know.
but besides Rey Mysterio, I mean, do we even really honestly too much care about everybody else's stories?
Well, it depends. I mean, yeah, I do just because I love hearing those old territory stories and stuff like that. I'll be interested to hear Stacey Keebler's speech. One of the things that I had forgotten was, she was a huge wrestling fan before she got into wrestling.
That's fair.
Um,
That's fair.
so
So she may have some good stories about like things she watched when she was a kid, and things like that. So that's fair.
yep,
Replacement sports.
that's good. That's good. I like that.
And he does also say Taker should have gone in solo last year.
Yeah, we'd have more people for this year.
Yep. And we needed it for this year because good grief.
Yep.
You're just not attracted to a casual fan or a lot of people that actually are fans like myself as well with your class.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, Chase, you gotta do a better job of spreading out. Like, don't put 5 or 6 really good people in one time. They've had years where you've like, man, everybody's great.
Yeah.
And then now we're paying for it now.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's why I kind of agreed with the idea of Taker going in solo last year's. It wouldn't have been as bad. So um,
Well, Big Dave won't go in, so that's one thing that's hurting him.
yep. I think and I'll be serious with you. I think that was one of the things that kind of maybe hindered it. I think maybe they were trying to get Dave, and Dave was like, "No, I'm good," and they were like, "Shit, like who do we call now?"
Right.
Like
They're like, oh,
I think they were banking on having Batista and Ray go in the same year. Yeah,
but see, that would have made Batista the headliner. That's what's crazy about it too.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, gentlemen, if that's all we got this week,
Yeah,
let's uh let's do a roundtable here and let's close out. Cool. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media, my friend.
All right, so we'll go this route today. You can find me on Instagram at Cool McCain. You can find me on Twitter at Cool McCain. You can find me on Facebook, Cool McCain. Oh, excuse me, Instagram is cool at cool_McCain. My bad. Um, YouTube. Um, Eagles Elite Podcast, and Play Color Sports Talk, and of course, the Almighty Sports Empire Network.
And you can catch me. I'm on Twitter at Brett Gardipee. That's GARDIPEE, all lowercase. I also have a podcast, which I've kind of took a little bit of a break from, but I'm going to be recording episodes tonight to start putting out again. That's Gardy 3. You can find that on Spotify and Anchor. And I'm also a writer for Sports Empire Network. So you can check out my articles that get posted frequently.
Chase at CR Media 1988. You guys can find me on all forms of social media. Anything you can think of. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, all of the above. That's where you can find me. I cover independent wrestling to mainstream wrestling. Wrestling is the deal. Wrestling is 24/7. So in fact, I am getting ready to leave in 6 hours to go fly to LA for the whole week. And I have something planned every night. So sometimes two. Saturday, I'll be pulling double duty. I'll be going to NXT Stand and Deliver and WrestleMania Night 1. And then on Sunday, I'll be going to WrestleMania Night 2. So appreciate everybody joining with us tonight. Appreciate everybody watching, showing love in the chat. If you guys have not already, make sure you are following Sports Empire Network on all forms of social media. And do yourself a humongous favor. And as a way of saying thank you for supporting Sports Empire Network, go to SeatGeek.com. If you like going to theater, if you like going to concerts, sporting events, get your tickets on SeatGeek.com and use the promo code SEN. That's Sierra Echo November, as in Sports Empire Network, and get you $20 off your first purchase. And like I said, that's our way of saying thank you for supporting Sports Empire Network, guys. Other than that, we will be back next week. I may be on, I may not be on, depending on what I have going on. I do not get back from LA until Wednesday. So it depends on what is going on Tuesday. Other than that, have a good night.